Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my tractor shed. I'm optimistic today that I'm going to get several jobs done. We'll see how that works out. This shim situation for the bearing, or for the differential, that kind of held me up for a little while. I had to order some tools and figure out what I was going to do. So I've got that taken care of now. I want to try and finish up a few things. I need to get the bearing carriers back off and replace this O-ring. I've actually already done the other side, went quite smooth. And I got a few other things I want to do, but I'm not going to say it because then you'll say, geez, he didn't get anything done. Let's get this off and change the O-ring. All right, that's off. Let's get this over to the bench. Do a little wee bit more cleanup and get that O-ring put on. Alrighty, this actually doesn't really need much cleaning up. I had taken this off and put it in the parts washer a couple weeks back now. Got one extra O-ring. All I did in the other one is put it into the little hollow space here, stretched it over. Not really a big whoop here at all. Make sure it's seated in there nice, and then I put some oil on it. I just took some, whoops, lost my whole cap. I just took some 80W90, which is fairly certain what I'm going to put. What I'm going to put in the transmission, right? Smear that around, nice liberal amount. And there's a really good chamfer where this O-ring goes into, so I'm not too worried about it. That's all I need to do here. Let's go back to the machine. All right, reverse procedure. I've already done this 2-3 times, so it's pretty easy, but there's a nice radius here for that O-ring to run into, so I just check it, make sure there's no burrs, everything's nice and smooth. Put it back in. Not much to that. All right, let me get my little tool out of there and make sure everything still turns okay. I got a little wedge under here. And yeah, that feels good. Okay. What I'd actually like to do, I'm going to take this transmission back off one more time. I mentioned in a previous video, when I took the other transmission apart, quite a while back now, I had taken the input shaft seal apart and I ordered a seal and I have an O-ring for that. So, give me a second, I'm going to pull some bolts and I'm going to pull this thing back out. Alrighty guys, I got all the bolts out, cleaned up here a little wee bit. According to theory, I don't think it's going to take too much. I'm just going to put a screwdriver here to, don't want to damage my nice new gasket. It's already pulled away a little wee bit. I don't need to have a little pry bar, I guess. And there we are. I'll pull it back to the back of my train track here. Hopefully that gives me enough. Should give me enough. All right, let me rearrange these cameras, and I'm going to get this input shaft off. All right, guys, I'm a little cramped for space, but I don't think this is going to be a big whoop. Just going to get these bolts out that hold this green piece. I took a wire brush and cleaned this up. Seal is inside here. The other camera going, seal's in there. So I took a wire brush and cleaned this up a bit. Memory serves me correct. This come off pretty. Already. Let me just try. Oh, there we are. Pops off pretty easy. Now, I don't know if I got enough space here. Had to slide the spline end back into the clutch housing, but that was fine. Okay, let's get this over to the bench. I got a snap ring I got to get out of there, and then we'll get this seal changed. Alrighty guys, I got this hollow input shaft over here, and I'm starting to take it apart, and then it all came back to me. There's a snap ring in there, and my heaviest pair of snap rings, holy moly, that snap ring is one heck of a snap ring. I don't remember how I did it on the other one. Clearly I had my Wheaties that day. I'm not getting it today. Then I realized, well, I don't really need to do that. I've held the two gears together. I'm looking it all over. They're the same. And I've already washed and cleaned up the parts from the other transmission. So I've got the brand new seal here. I'm going to put it into this housing, and I'll put the O-ring in where those little needle bearings at that end. I'm going to put this one back together and put it on, and I'm just going to put that one on the shelf the way it is. I am crazy. I am not stupid. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to buy a heavier pair of pliers. I still got to put this one in, but I could not get that one out. So, I don't have a bearing inserting tool. I've always just done it with a flat punch type deal and just go around and around and around. So, that's what I'm going to attempt to do here right now. And I think that's good enough. When I'm putting it in, I try and keep the punch on an angle so that I'm not coming anywhere near that outer lip seal. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on here. So again, it's just some 80W90. And I'm going to put a little bit of oil in the seal itself. And I'm sure there's better stuff for this, but I've been doing this for many years. It's always worked for me. Yeah, I got these three surfaces here that are flat, and I can probably find something to push on the outer race of that bearing. Let me see if I can get that set up, and then I'll rearrange these cameras. Alright, I found a chunk of pipe that's pretty close to the size of the bearing and cut myself a little chunk of that, and I got a little chunk of plate on top of that. Pretty close to square, I think. We'll see what happens here. It's always a challenge to get these things in the press. Once you get it started, though, it usually goes pretty good. There it goes. Oops, getting tight there now. Again, I'm going a little cockeye. I'd like to move this back. Let me try that. I'm pushing a little bit more now at the front. See if I can get this to square up. Yep. I'm going to move the press back to the center. If I can. Not quite close. There she is. Hardly any force at all. And she's bottomed. All right, let me take this back to the bench and we'll see if we can't get that snap ring in. Alrighty guys, got that bearing pressed back in. That really wasn't too difficult. I've had I don't know if I can see it in the close-up camera. I've had the light and I've checked down and around there. Make sure that seal went in okay. Now I got to attempt to put this big, ugly snap ring back in here. I'm going to try it once with an awkward angle for me for the close-up camera. If that doesn't work, then I'm moving it to a better angle for me. Snap ring player's in there. Yeah, see, that's going to be a challenge. Oops, already hit the camera. Just a really heavy ring, guys. And it is awkward as all hell. That's it. Make it easier for me. I put it this way. Oh, maybe I can still get that camera in there a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Do you really care? You've all seen big ugly snap rings go in before. Maybe. Yeah, it's such an angle. And the snap ring players, they don't have any grooves or anything there. And it wants to climb out of there. I'm going to edit this because I'm probably going to struggle here for 20 minutes. I'll make it look like it went in the very first try. Alrighty guys, I didn't have that camera running. I did turn this one on. I don't know how good a view I got. I was fighting. These are the heaviest snap ring players I have. Was not having any luck. Went to see a couple of my neighbors. Nobody had a heavier pair. I have a pair of needle nose players. I'm putting the close-up camera here right now. You can see the ends are bent. I had made these years ago for some. Oh, they were like a spring clip that went over steering boots, and I needed the hooks on the end to grab. Anyway, I just got them in here, and of course they would hold. These ones here kept popping out. I didn't have enough oomph in my hand with these short little handles. I actually got a bar clamp on here and managed to squeeze it and put it back in. I didn't really get it videotaped properly, but it is what it is. All right, I got this thing screwed down to the table so I can work on it. I got to put this little snap ring in at the far end. So let me get this off. I'm not sure if you can see in there or not, but there's a needle bearing, and then there's a groove for an O-ring, and then a groove for the snap ring. Brand new O-ring. Brand new O-ring just goes right there. That's easy. Oops, trying to stay in view of that camera. It just goes right there. Right there, nothing to that. And the snap ring, there's a collar right here that would hold that bearing in. But I had decided not to bother taking it out. So let me see if I can finagle this snap ring back into place. This one should be a little bit easier if I can see what I'm doing. Okay. And that's all there is to that. Seal is in. Little snap rings are back in. Big snap rings back in. All right. I got to go back over to where this goes. I've already made a gasket for it. It goes on there, of course. I got to go clean up the old gasket that's over there, and I got a little bit of oil I'll clean up. Let me get that done, and I'll bring you guys back. All right, I got the seal, snap rings, new O-ring, everything put into this hollow shaft. I cleaned out all the old oil out of there and washed it. I've got my gasket on with a little wee bit of goop from a tube. Not my favorite stuff, but it does have its place at times. Okay, I got to put the hollow shaft into the transmission housing to get enough space. I've also put gear oil on that O-ring, and I put a little bit of gear oil here to help that O-ring through there. I want to go slow when I get to that end because the O-ring's back here, right? I'm going to rotate that a little bit, I suppose. I'm going to switch my position here, guys. Turn my little light on so I can see what I'm doing. I'm just rotating that shaft so that gear can line up. I got the bolts here. Dump them out. All right, I was just checking, making sure everything still rotates easy. Rearrange the cameras and let's put it back in. All right, I just rejiggled the close-up camera. Let's just push it back in and see what happens, guys. I am loving these little train track carts, I'll tell you that right now. Just want to watch here. Should be no issues in there at all, but I just want to watch it going in just to make sure. Okay, so now the first shaft hits. It should be the PTO one, and I got to engage it, and then that goes a little further. Then we got to put it in gear. This is where I was having trouble last time. I'm rotating the crown gear to try and get the hollow shaft that I just reinstalled to try and get it lined up with its there she goes. Okay. And there she is. She's back in, guys. Alrighty, guys. I'll put the rest of those bolts in. I'm looking at the clock behind the camera, and it took me a little longer than I thought it was going to take. So instead of moving on to the next task, I think I'm going to go in the house, have coffee. So I think we're going to call it a day, guys. I appreciate you hanging out in the shop with me. You guys take care, and we'll see you next time in my old tractor shed. Ciao.